their mind is still open. The funny thing is they are decisive. Young people, they listen to many ideas, but then they get convinced about one of them, they really make a strong choice. Like me now at my age, I don't make new choices. I already made choices, finished. You know, I listen to many things and just leave them. But young people make a choice. Maybe football. If they decide that they like football, they are committed to it. They will die for football. Music, they will die for music. Dawah, they will die for dawah. So young people, open mind, they make a choice, and they are committed to their choice. Older people don't do any of these things. But then the young people have got a small problem. They take extreme positions and make mistakes. Have you heard about people who died during the World Cup? Because they sat on the TV for 20 hours, 25 hours, and they got embolism. You know, the clotting of the blood. They cannot get away. They die. So young people, because of their strong commitment, they take extreme positions and make mistakes. And this is what we need to avoid, because our religion is the religion of the center. Okay. The other thing you need to know, you need to have a balance. You came here to study. You can make da'wah, you can have activities, but you cannot do anything that compromises your study. Academic achievement. So you need to divide your time very well, and extra activities should never interfere with your studies, because you have to be a good student first before you are good at anything else. So you need to have this balance clear, because now you have a chance to study. After you finish your studies, you have a chance the whole of your lifetime to make da'wah, make activities. So while you are studying, studies is first, and then the extra time you use for other activities. Now, how do you get this extra time? By removing useless things from your life. Going to the supermarket and just to the mall and walking around. Attending parties, listening to music, doing this, doing that. Many useless things that we do. You use that time for your da'wah, but don't take away time from your studies. Okay. Now, as students in MSA, there are challenges you have to face. These are academic challenges, I already talked about the ideological challenges. There are many ideas you hear now. Atheism, agnosticism, Western ideas. It's a challenge. How do you deal with them? Culture. There are many things you face in the culture. You know, Korean culture, Western culture, your culture in your country. So you need to know how to deal with those. You need to think about ummatic issues. The Muslim world is economically weak. There are problems about human rights, political rights, you know. There is a problem of the duality in the education system. You know? Because all of us go to two schools, madrasa and the modern school. But these schools teach you different things. They teach you to look at the world in a different way. I myself, I have this problem. Because I went to the Islamic school, the sheikh told me, Allah yarzuq man yasha bighayri hisab. Allah gives you risk without counting. Then the English teacher told me, no, we need economics, resources are limited, we must limit population. So it's different views. Now you need the challenge to be aware of the backwardness of science and technology in the Muslim world, and how you can help address this. And there are many isms. So these are challenges by Dr. Manzoor Alam, that very good summary of what faces a Muslim student. Most of them, you will notice, are intellectual. And this will lead me to the next thing I will talk about. So what is your role as students? What's the role of MSA? One of them is integration of knowledge. See, I talked about knowledge being two. We have got the traditional Islamic knowledge and the modern knowledge we get, and we need to know how to put Islamic values in the discipline we are studying. If you are studying engineering, medicine, business, how do you put Islamic values in that discipline? So that's a challenge. We need, how do we transmit our Islamic heritage to the next generation? This is the most important one. We need intellectual analysis. We need to analyze issues. And what are the solutions? We need to think deeply because you are intelligent. You are very clever. By the way, your cleverest, your brain is cleverest at about 25. 25 to 35, that's when you are smartest. After that, there is decline. So in this room, I am the least smart here. You know? Maybe brother, I'm older than brother, I think. As you grow older, the brain is not as smart. But you people now are very smart. But what will happen? If there is a problem, I can solve it better than you.
Experience.
Why? Yeah, experience, because I've seen it before. It's not because I'm thinking. You think faster than I do. But from experience, I can solve it better. So, because you are very smart, this is the time to really analyze problems and think of solutions. And then you need to get practical skills. It's not enough, when you come to Korea to study, you study in the university, but remember this country 50 years ago was poor, like any other country in Africa or Asia. In 50 years, you know where they have come. So there are things in the society here, outside the classroom, you need to learn. Why did the Koreans succeed? You need to watch out and learn. Let me tell you a story. 1965, both Korea and Pakistan were poor countries. In that year, both of them decided to become industrialized. Industrialization means you produce steel. So, after 30 years, Korea was producing things. Cars and what? Fridges. Pakistan wasn't producing bicycles even. So the Pakistani, there's I think a National Science Council, there's something here in charge of this, industrialization. So they invited the professor, please come tell us, how come we studied together, you were there, we are still. So he asked them, how did you start? They said, yeah, you see when we decided, we invited our friends from Britain to give us advice how to industrialize. So the Korean professor said, enough, I know the rest of the story. So he told them what the Koreans did, they sent their students to study. They told them, study in the university, but look around. And one of the things they told them to do is to look around at old, the Bessemer converters. They are machines that used to make steel a long time ago. Look for anything that makes steel thrown, because already it's thrown away in Britain. It's no longer used. They have more modern ones. He said, look for the old ones. Anything you find, buy, send it back home. So the Korean students were learning, buying things, send it. Here they sat, they examined, they checked. That's how they went about. So when you are here, you learn in the classroom, but also learn skills. How did this society become successful? Because they are secrets. Not actually secrets, they are known. One of them is hard work. Right? Yeah. Okay. Now, we talk about making an MSA. What shall MSA do? What are the functions? You need to have social programs. Very important social. Before Dawah. International Day, Food Day. You need to be able to bring people together to meet Muslims. And then you can have Dawah programs on campus of campus. Now, on the campus, These are the programs to make for students. Ibadah, really want to make sure that there is a place for salah, maybe once a day, once a week, but it must be one of the functions we may say to arrange for ibadah. In Ramadan, you need to do something. Tarbiyah and training. This one I talked about, this basic Islamic program. We deliver it through the halaqah, this meeting in small groups, self-education. Academic support. MSA must give academic support to new students, those who have just arrived. You need to help them understand the Korean system of education, how to succeed. Some students may be weak in their faculty. You need to know they should turn to MSA, and then MSA can find someone older to help them. Entertainment, students need some entertainment, because there are a lot of stress. We need to help them with their career, idea on how to do their career. Counseling on social life. Students may need advice on their social life, especially marriage. We should have MSA, marriage, as one of the things on which we advise students, because they make mistakes. Because in marriage, you make a mistake, very difficult to correct later, especially for women. Women, difficult to correct. Men, they can correct 50% of it. Okay? So counseling. In the US, actually, we went to the extent of developing 100 questions. If any of you want to get married, we say sit down and ask yourselves these questions and let everybody answer honestly. Because from these questions, you discover if you are compatible. One of them is, if you have money, and you see something that you really like, what do you do? Of course, I buy. They says, no, I want to save money. If you put these two people in a house, they are going to fight. So, these questions, we go through, and then we discover compatibility. If they're not compatible, they should not get married. So MSA should help in this area. And then we can protect their interests. For example, MSA should go to the president of the university to say, Muslim students want to fast Ramadan, they need a place to pray. So this is it. Now, one thing you need to do, any new students, you should receive them. Actually, you should wait for them at the airport. This is the best place to recruit people. If a new student, if the first person they meet is from MSA, they will be with MSA forever. So we need to receive them, welcome them, tell them about the country, because this is the best way to recruit them. Okay? And possible you could be in contact with them even before they come to Korea, because it's possible. Some of you know from your country who has been given a scholarship to come here, you get in touch with them before they come. Tell them about MSA, what you do, your brothers and sisters are here, they're waiting for you. Now, these are what I think are routine activities of MSA. Lectures, question forums, study groups, halaqah, competitions, projects, drama, all of this, all of this. And the halaqah is the best way to teach Islam, because self-education. They meet in a group and read Quran, read Hadith, read other books, discuss. Yeah. Now, we need to have a plan for these activities throughout the year. We shouldn't just do them haphazardly. Okay. So that is about MSA. Now, you have got MSA, alhamdulillah, already. You have set it up. It is working very well from what I know. You are doing very well. It is led very well, organized very well, alhamdulillah. Just continue. But think of also making sure that there is a branch in every university. However small, it may have 3 members only, but you should have a branch of MSA in each university, so that there is nowhere where a Muslim student cannot get the services of MSA. Yeah, no, it is two parts. There is another lecture also on da'wah, you know. As I said, I'm going to give you my ideas. Yeah, close this. May I feel that the Koreans have a lot of religions. These are very old civilizations. Korean emperor, Korean king, Korean culture have been here for thousands of years. They have religions, belief systems, and sophistications. So they just don't need another religion. They need something more than just religion. Because they have Buddhism, now they have Christianity, they have. Islam is not a religion in the ordinary sense of the word. Islam is very intellectual. We need to be able to present our da'wah as something very intellectual. This the Korean will listen to. Christianity was able to make inroads here because intellectually it was more challenging than the existing religions. It had new ideas, new visions, new ways of looking at things. So this attracted the Korean. Now Islam is much better than Christianity because the Quran is a very intellectual book. So, you found the first one? This one. So, I want just to, in summary, give you these intellectual things that we can talk to the Korean, and it is something new. It doesn't look like the religions they know. It's challenging. Okay. First of all, Islam has got three fundamentals. There is Islam and Iman. Islam is when you say, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. This is the beginning. By just saying that word, you become a Muslim. Iman is a higher level. Iman means having faith inside. It takes longer. Huh? It takes longer. But the highest level of our religion is Ihsan. Ihsan means quality, excellence. This is the highest level in our religion, doing things right. But if you look at the world today, everybody else is a Muslim and we are not. Because when it comes to quality, being organized, keeping time, being clean, doing things, Muslim countries are behind everybody else. So the Korean will ask you, you want me to become a Muslim? What is there in you for me to follow? He's already clean, he's organized, he's rich, he's, he knows how to run his society. You cannot run your society. So he says, what is there to attract me to you? But you need to remember that quality is the highest principle of our religion. As I said, Islam, Iman, then Ihsan. So, intellectually, we tell them our problem is Muslims are not following Islam. Maybe you are following it better. If we are following Islam very well, we would have the excellence and the quality. It's very important to make this point very clear. They know we have a problem, and they know we should be better than what we are. So you settle that point. Huh? Okay. Can I go on?
Yes.
The next intellectual point is to understand Islam in its comprehensiveness. Don't go to them with details, because the details they know. In Buddhism, they know how to pray. In their ancient religions, they know how to sacrifice. They own all of this. But they need something different. So Islam is comprehensive. It's a new idea. Because Islam is not just a religion. It's a way of life. And unitary, indivisible, action-oriented. Islam is action-oriented. You don't come and say, I'm a Muslim. No. Show us you're Muslim. And Islam is very easy to practice. It's another thing. May I say, if there is anything that in Islam, Sharia makes your life difficult, either you were taught it badly or you don't understand. Because Islam is supposed to be very easy, very straightforward. But because of our misunderstanding, that makes it look a complicated religion. Islam is universal. So they ask you, why you pray in Arabic? We have to, because we are a universal religion for all races, all countries, all places. So the prayer must be uniform. So a Muslim in Riyadh, in Tokyo, they pray in the same way. Because this universality is something very important. Then Islam is rational, understandable. There is nothing in Islam that cannot be understood by the brain, except a few things. There are a few things about Qadr. Qadr? Yeah, maybe beyond the human mind. Also, there are certain things about Allah, the nature of Allah, that are beyond the human mind, but very few. Everything else is understandable. Why do people pray 5 times a day? Because prayer is communication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because, in our prayer, when we pray, we are talking to Allah directly. So 5 times a day, I have connection with the one above. I feel empowered. I'm sure I'm in connection with Him. Why do you make wudu? We wash face, hands, legs, and wipe over the head. What is this? These are the exposed parts of the body. Environmental pollution doesn't pollute my skin. I'm dressed up, but it pollutes my hands, my face, the legs. So we wash them. So everything is rational. You can explain it. Okay? And then the issue of freedom of belief. Islam, when you read Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives evidence to people. We read the Quran very carefully. Quran makes a statement, and then it gives you evidence. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to prove something to you, because you were treated as a thinker. And Quran always asks you, أَفَلَا تَتَفَكَّرُونَ أَفَلَا تَدَبَّرُونَ? Don't you think? Don't you deliberate? Quran tells us about mind experiments. Ibrahim asked Allah, أَرْنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَ? Show me how you bring back the dead back to life. أَوَلَا تُؤْمِنُ? Don't you believe? So, Ibrahim said, وَلَكِنْ يَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي. Allah, I'm asking so that my heart can be settled. He's questioning. Allah bring back the dead to life. So Allah told him to make an experiment. He said, take a bird, cut it up, and put one part on each. فَصُرْهُنَّ إِلَيْكَ. Say, cut up the bird, then hold it to your body. Then put each part of it on a different hill. Then call them. يَعْتِينَكْ سَعِيدٌ. The bird will be recreated and come back to you. It makes sense. Why put it on his body? So they can remember his smell to come back to him. Otherwise we'll go somewhere else. So the whole Quran deals with the mind, understanding. Okay? Islam is reformist. Tries to reform society. Islam is equilibrium, moderation, and balance. Actually, I have given you many examples. everything in Islam is a balance between extremes. It's unfortunate that Muslims become extremists because everything in our religion, as all of these examples that are given, is being in the middle, never the extremes. And actually, it's the Western mind that's extremist. The Western mind is very extremist. Because Western people, they don't do anything halfway. When they work all the way. When they fight all the way. You know, they don't do anything halfway. You know, it's a very extremist mind. We are a little bit lazy. When we work okay and stop. When we play also, we play and stop. Because the Western mind, when they play, they play. They have to do music, tourism, they do it to the extreme. It's a very extremist mind. But when you read the media, it's the other way around. Huh? The Muslim mind is supposed to be very moderate in the center. And that's how we are in most of our life. You know, I have my work, but also I think about my father, about my family. In the Western world, they work. The parents don't know where they are. They will not leave their work to be with their parent, never. So in a way, we are in general still very moderate in our approach. Our problem is young people who read Quran in selection. They just take a verse, isolate from the rest. See, kill, they go and kill. Do this, they go and do it. But if you read the whole thing, you end up with your mind very moderate. That's why I say we need to go through the halakha and study the whole Quran until the end. Okay. Now, Islam also has got a social culture. I will not go through this. You can read it. There are only 23 hadiths that summarize the social culture of Islam. Okay? You can read it later on. And Islam also has got answers to the ultimate questions. I think the Korean will be interested in this. Huh? Okay? These questions are, I made a mistake. Question number one should be, who am I? The human, who are you? From the Islamic perspective, you are made up of the soul, a ruh, and the body. I talked about this before. So, Islam can answer this question for the Korean, who he is. And then to tell him he's the best creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because he has got a mind, and more than that, he has got a will, irada. There in us, there is the good and bad, but we have got the will to make a choice. You know, if a tiger walks in here and it is hungry, it will eat me. You may plead to it and say, please, this man has got his mother and his young daughter, you cannot eat him, it will eat me. If a human thief walks in here, he wants to shoot me, he may feel kind. I'm not doing it. Because we have got a will. We are not pushed by our instinct. The problem is, now people are telling us to be pushed by our instinct. They say, you've got genes for homosexuality, be homosexual. You've got a gene for alcoholism, drink alcohol. True, these genes do exist. True, this drive exists. But because we have got a mind and a will, we can control the biology. In other words, we are not controlled by our biology. We control our biology. So, question number 2, how did the universe start? Quran provides a very good answer how it started. Did not start by chance. The end of the universe, Yawm al-Qiyamah. There is an answer to that. Okay. Question 4. What's the purpose of creation? Why are we here on earth? We are to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we need to, you ask the Korean, why are you here? What do you come to? Do you come to eat? To sleep? There must be a higher purpose. Islam can answer this question. Then there is other issue that the universe is expanding. Actually, scientifically, we know that the universe is expanding. Yeah? And it may contract, this Big Bang theory, and it is well explained in the Quran. Quran says the universe is expanding and may contract. So, now, what's the destiny? You need to explain to the Quran, okay, we are alive on earth. After we die, what happens? The afterlife. So, these questions are very intellectual. And I think these are the things we need to talk with the Koreans. Because they're very intellectual. And we can give good answers for them. We don't have much time, but you have the PowerPoint, you can read it. This issue of predetermination. Everything was fixed by Allah. Allah knows that there will be a war. Allah knows somebody will kill somebody. Why doesn't He stop them? Why is there so much evil in the world? Why is there a war in Syria? Why didn't Allah stop that war in Syria? You see? These are very intellectual issues. And I think you need to study them very well. Because Allah predetermined everything. He knows what will happen. But you know what He did? In order to test the human being, He gave him the brain and the willpower. To test him, He uses this brain and this will. So, therefore, humans make mistakes. It's part of Allah's test for humans. The good ones will avoid the mistakes. The bad ones will make the mistakes. But He's very forgiving. In the end, He will forgive us. So the issue of predetermination, will, and knowledge and power, these are intellectual issues. If we can explain them to the Korean from the Quranic perspective, it's great. It opens a new world to understand what is going on. Time is short, we cannot go into details. So, afterlife, as I said, eschatology. What will happen to us after we die? Islam teaches linear. You are born, you die, you don't come back. Buddhism and Hinduism teach that life is cyclical. You can go and come back, So, intellectually, we can explain this afterlife, the Islamic point of view and what it means. And these are all straight from the Quran. Evil and sin. Why is there evil in the world? Why does Allah allow some people to kill others? It is because the human being is superior to everything else. We have got a brain and a will. So Allah tests us how we use this. Sometimes we fail, sometimes we do succeed. But again, this is why we are superior to everything that Allah created. Because the angels, Malaika, they cannot disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why Allah made the angels make sujood to Adam, because we are above the angels. We are the best creation of Allah. Why? Because we have got freedom to do what we want. And Allah is testing us how well we use that freedom. But when you look at human history, we haven't used it very well, because human history is full of wars and fighting and killing. So what Islam is calling for is to teach you how to use that freedom very well. So to understand where does evil and sin come from. The human, I already talked about this, that the human is a duality. There is the body and there is the soul. It's the soul that is permanent in us. But modern life, they say do it. Means obey your body. You feel like you want to drink, drink. We say no. The soul is about, the ruh is about human civilization. There are three concepts. Time is short, we cannot talk istiqlal, tasfir, and istimar. So the Quran explains human civilization. How does it rise? How does it fall? Huh? I'm not going into details. So the point I'm trying to make is the issues that you want to bring da'wah in this society, this highly technological society, we have to do the intellectual approach. It's challenging, makes them think. And then they will see that these highly intellectual questions are answered by a book, Quran that has been on earth since 15 centuries. It makes a big difference. So this is the point I'm trying to make, inshallah. Let us gear our da'wah to the intellectual. Because Quran is very intellectual. And I think the Korean, if they see the high intellect in Islam, it will attract them.
Yeah, now we can move on to another new session for questions. So anybody who has any question who can ask Dr.
Dr. Omar Hassanen, you already said about how about Hinduism or Buddhism and Christianism, but in Far East, Confucianism is a major idea.
Yes.
And I want to hear your idea, opinion about Confucianism and Muslims.
Yeah. Thank you very much. To be honest, I don't know much about Confucianism and Taoism. But what I know is that they are philosophies. Basically, they are not religions, they are philosophies. But many brothers who have studied them, they have found a lot of similarities with Islam. On the basic intellectual, because these are also highly intellectual. So they have found a lot of similarities. So if we present intellectual Islam, maybe people who follow Taoism and Confucianism may really network with us very easily.
There's a harmony between Muslim and Confucianism.
I don't know the details, but those who have studied it, they told me that on many ideas we agree. Like the idea about the family, the idea of society being organized and structured and following a system. We've got the Sharia. Confucianism believes in having a system. So I personally do not know, but people told me who made a comparative study. And in Malaysia, we had a conference between Islam and Confucianism. Yes, there is a lot. And I think somebody who from a Confucianism background, Confucianist background, will understand a lot of the issues we say about Islam, except the issue of God. Because there is no concept of God, no concept of prophet. We don't have to say this. In fact, in all what I said here, I did not present the issue of God and the deity. That can come later. But there are enough intellectual issues to really make them look at Islam in a different way.
My question is related to the first lecture, and I want to ask that can an Islamic Dawah leader can be a good political leader, or what is the difference between a political and Dawah leader, and what are the points to be a successful political leader, or what type of the leadership we require to bring out the Muslim Ummah from the present crisis?
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. This is also a highly intellectual issue because in many Muslim countries, people feel we are in a mess, and it's true we are in a mess. How do we get out of the mess? So some of them say, let us make Islamic political parties and change the political system. And many work in that area. Others say, no, let us do da'wah. Let us educate people, let people understand, let people get better as individuals, as families, as communities. Then the society will change. When the society changes, it automatically will get an Islamic form of government. Me, I believe in the second one. I don't believe a lot in political Islam. I believe in education, teaching, reform. But this takes a long time. It takes a long time, but in the end, it's more sure. But people have different views. You know, I don't say mine is right or the other one is wrong. It's just an issue of different ways of looking at things. I'm more for da'wah, tarbiyah, education, and reform from the base and for a long time.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I have a question regarding the first lecture. As you know that as the time passes, our values are changes. So rather than the basic quality of our leadership, what are the modern role in this conflicting society of our leadership?
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. The essentials of leadership are actually the same. They don't change. It's the applications. Have you heard about Attila the Hun? Attila the Hun? Oh, okay. You know the Roman Empire? Yeah. The Roman Empire was destroyed in about the 4th century of the Christian era by people they called barbarians, tribes, you know. Germanic tribes came and invaded the Roman Empire and destroyed it. One of them was Attila the Hun. Very primitive. You know, the way they present him is a primitive man, he's a killer, he's this, is this. But today, in Western business schools, they teach leadership using him as an example of leadership. So the attributes, the skills, the methods of leadership are the same in all human civilizations, in all places. But the applications are different. So we cannot lead exactly how Umar bin Khattab led, because we're in a different time. But the underlying principles are the same. So principles are the same, but applications do change with time. Actually, I have something that I'm still doubting. I have a feeling that the Western people read Quran at night and apply it. Really. Because I see what the way they live, the way they do things, is Quranic. We are not doing it. The American government, for example, is the nearest example I can give you of an Islamic government. Yes. There is freedom, people can express their views, they can criticize the president, and he doesn't kill them. Yeah? You know? And there are elections, the followers decide who is going to be the leader. This is basically Islamic. This is what Quran teaches us. So in a way, they apply it and we don't apply it.
Any questions? I have a question.
Yes.
I have 2 questions. The first question is, you talked about the freedom that Islam gives, talk about freedom. So, which extent we are free in this society, and what is the definition of freedom according to Islam? That's the first question. And for the second question, you talked about the qadr.
Yes.
Right? Can we change the qadr by our actions?
Okay. The issue of freedom, this intellectual freedom. And I'll give you a very simple example to see how free we are in Islam. You know Pharaoh, the king of Egypt? A long time ago. Pharaoh said, Ana Rabbukum al-A'la. I am the highest God. Really, Pharaoh believed he was a God. But you know that this phrase of Pharaoh, to say Ana Rabbukum al-A'la, is in the Quran? Exactly as he said it. And when you pray, reading Quran, you repeat it every day. So what type of book is this? Because we know Pharaoh is a very bad man. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows him to speak in his book, in his own words. The Quraysh, they used to say the Prophet, Sha'iru Majnoon. He's a poet and he's crazy. Their words are put in the Quran. So, have you ever seen a book that allows the opponents to speak? It gives them freedom to state their views. So this is how free Islam is, really. That the Quran has all these words. The other aspect of our freedom, and I think many of you will feel very